Right now, President Trump is making his first visit to the Badger State in the new year. We're taking a look at the role Wisconsin will take in this year's election.
And later, flu cases are 10 times what they were this time last year. We'll show you how to keep your family healthy straight ahead.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, January 14th. I'm Leah Lynchide.
And I'm Josh Breiter, kind of a soggy, kind of a foggy. Anything else that could rhyme?
Drizzly.
Groggy.
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 Yeah.
Just
Everybody's
gross out
groggy.
there today.
Yeah, you know, it's not too cold, but that has resulted in some drizzle and some fog across southern Wisconsin. We had to use our windshield wipers on the way into work this morning. Here's our view from the WISC-TV sky camera shot this morning. Looking to the east, having trouble seeing a lot though in that shot. Visibility is about 4 miles at the airport in Madison, maybe a little less here on the west side of town. There are some spots though with some fog. Half-mile visibility in Monroe, down to 3/4 of a mile right now in Mineral Point. So be careful this morning. You may need to scrape your windshield just a little bit to talk to some people. That's all you need.
Is that enough?
Yeah, you can do it with a credit card, I think, this morning. If you
Okay.
can't even find your windshield wiper or the scraper, you'll be fine. But there has been just a little bit of drizzle and some very light snow overnight. That snow has moved out of the area. We're left with just some drizzle and fog at this hour. Temperatures will climb a couple of degrees today to 36 this afternoon. So not a lot of movement on the temperature, but still pretty mild, about 10 degrees above normal for this time of January. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. It is starting to get a little busier on the Beltline, but no major issues or delays to tell you about just yet. In and around Dane County, travel looks to be going at the posted speeds heading into Madison. We continue with this active weather pattern though, and we're going to talk more snow coming on Wednesday.
After a pretty quiet December, I feel like we've seen a really active January.
Yeah, just the last week or so, and it looks like that'll continue through the rest of this week. Next week looks quieter, but colder.
Okay.
I guess pick your poison.
Thank you, Addie.
You're welcome.
Breaking overnight into the Channel 3000 Alert Center, the DeForest Police Department is asking for your help finding a missing 13-year-old. Bianna Covington was last seen leaving DeForest Middle School with a friend yesterday and hasn't been heard from since. She's known to be associated with a man named Anthony or Antonio, who's around 20 years old. Anyone with information on where Bianna could be is asked to contact the DeForest Police Department at the number on your screen. President Trump will make his way from New Orleans to Milwaukee for a rally later today.
Oh yeah, it's happening at UW-Milwaukee's Panther Arena. It's his first visit to the Badger State in 2020, as Wisconsin is expected to be one of the states that could decide this year's election. It also comes about 6 months before the city hosts the Democratic National Convention. Some folks are already lined up outside of the area this morning in hopes of getting a close seat to the president. Many say they've been in line since 4:30 yesterday afternoon. The rally starts tonight at 7. We'll have a recap on News 3 Now at 10 and right here tomorrow morning.
State lawmakers are introducing a bill that would require presidential or vice presidential candidates to pay debts from campaign rallies like tonight's before they're given a permit to host another one here in Wisconsin. President Trump still owes $47,000 in outstanding debt to the city of Eau Claire and $9,000 in debt to the city of Green Bay. These are for the 2016 rallies. Hillary Clinton's campaign also still owes money to the city of Milwaukee. The bill's authors use these instances as examples for why the legislation is needed.
Let's give a warm Central Wisconsin welcome to Laura Trump.
Before the president's rally tonight, his daughter-in-law Laura has already visited the state to vouch for him. As a senior advisor for the Trump campaign, Laura told the crowd in Wausau that the campaign will be visiting the state more over the next year. During her speech, she talked about low unemployment rates, bringing jobs to the U.S. from overseas, and international trade. She says when it comes to those things, none of the candidates compare to her father-in-law.
When you contrast what they are offering to people in this country, to people here in Wisconsin, with what President Trump has done, I think it becomes very clear.
Meanwhile, candidates like President Trump are keeping a close eye on Wisconsin, a state that holds 10 electoral votes in the upcoming presidential election, likely making it a tipping point state. Both Republicans and Democrats recognize this, and the president's upcoming visit to Milwaukee today only highlights that. Democrats say it's noteworthy that the president isn't just visiting Republican strongholds in the state, while Democrats say their eventual nominee will be able to win back the state.
I think that's one thing that the president has done very effectively in swing states like Wisconsin, is taken his message everywhere, and he's doing that tomorrow, and we're glad he's coming.
Whichever nominee winds up getting elected to represent the Democratic Party, we know that they will be fighting for every vote in Wisconsin, because this is where we end the Trump era once and for all.
Political science experts at UW-Madison say campaign events like the one tonight not only serve to rally the president's base, but also drive attention away from things like impeachment and more at the economy or criticisms of his opponents. Now
Why didn't voters come out for Hillary Clinton?
It was a lack of organizing. Black people have realized our vote is being taken for granted. There's a Democratic America that looks at Donald Trump as like, he's the worst thing ever. Black people should wake up everywhere. And black people, if you think about our historical existence in the United States of America, black people are kind of like, yawn, hey, I've seen worse.
That's a tease of what you will see coming up on CBS this morning. Adriana Diaz reporting from Wisconsin. To state politics now. Wisconsin Supreme Court says it won't be taking up the case involving more than 200,000 voters from being purged from the rolls. That means the Court of Appeals will be the one to decide whether the purge should be put on hold while the case continues. This comes as an Ozaukee County judge ruled the Elections Commission in contempt for not immediately removing those voters. Now, 3 of the 6 members will be fined $250 every time they don't comply with the order. The commission itself will face a $50 fine every day that purge is put off.
Democratic candidates will be trying to set themselves apart from their competition at tonight's debate in Iowa. 6 candidates have qualified for the debate, which is the last before the Iowa caucuses kick off primary season in just a few weeks. The latest poll of Iowa voters from CNN and the Des Moines Register shows Bernie Sanders as most Iowans' first choice for president, followed by Elizabeth Warren in second and Pete Buttigieg in third. Tonight's debate starts at 7 on CNN at the same time as President Trump's rally in Milwaukee.
One candidate you won't see on that debate stage tonight is Cory Booker. He suspended his run in a video post, citing financial issues with the campaign. Despite gaining support in the early states, Booker never broke into the top tier of candidates. The New Jersey senator will be participating in the Senate impeachment trial, though, of President Trump.
6:07 right now, and still ahead for us on a Tuesday morning. We're sharing some ways to keep your family healthy during a very highly active flu season by flu-proofing your home.
But first, a little foggy and a little soggy outside this morning, with things looking to get a little colder over the next few days. Hattie joins us next for your First Alert forecast. We'll see if she can make it rhyme on News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the patio. Pretty quiet outside right now. We did have some drizzle earlier, but that has come to an end, at least for the time being, here in Madison. Let's take a look at the advisories and the winter weather bulletins. They have all been allowed to expire at 6 o'clock as well, so nothing in effect for southern Wisconsin right now. The snow that prompted those advisories has already moved out of the area, but we have seen some patchy drizzle this morning, and in some locations it's freezing drizzle with temperatures below the freezing point. So keep that in mind as you head out the door early this morning. There may be a few slippery spots on the roads, especially north of Dane County. In the Dells, it's still 30 degrees, but here in Dane County and Madison, we're at 33. It's up to 36 right now in Janesville and even 34 in Prairie du Chien. Visibility is down in some spots, though. We're seeing visibility less than a mile in Mineral Point as well as Monroe, so some pretty thick fog there. Visibility is just 1 mile in Juneau this morning. Now, we can thank those southerly winds in place this morning for our milder temperatures. We're not going to stay mild for too long, though. We are going to eventually cool down as we head into Thursday. But before we get to Thursday, Future Track forecast model starting just before midnight, showing you some snow spreading in across Minnesota and Iowa. That precipitation is going to make its way into southern Wisconsin tomorrow. Now, it may impact the morning commute, especially areas west of Madison. And right along the state line, there still is the potential for some mixed precipitation. North of Madison, you'll likely see just snow on and off through the day tomorrow. Any chance for snow winds down, though, by the evening hours. Then we'll get a break in the activity on Thursday. Future Track snow predictions are on the light side for southern Wisconsin and even the Northwoods. Could see a couple of inches of snow well north of Madison. Here's a look at your weather track, which is satellite and radar combined. We do have a lot of clouds still lingering all the way back into the Dakotas this morning. Even though that snow has come to an end, we're stuck with mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures, again, as I mentioned, pretty close to freezing here across southern Wisconsin. We're looking at that south wind again, keeping things a little milder overnight. Normal highs this time of the year would be in the mid-20s. That's where our wind chill is this morning. So here's a look at your Future Track forecast model. Mostly cloudy skies through the morning hours with temperatures slowly inching their way through the 30s. Future Track is showing us that we'll see some clearing this afternoon. I think it's a little more aggressive and optimistic on that clearing than what we'll actually see, but you may see a little bit of sun later today. Temperatures will then drop into the lower 20s overnight, and we're headed to our high of 33 on Wednesday with some light snow, possibly some freezing drizzle or freezing rain, mainly south of Madison. A colder day on Thursday, but then we're keeping our eye on another potential storm for Friday into Saturday as we head into the upcoming weekend. It's time to get a look at your First Alert traffic report this morning. We'll send it over to Stacy Kay for all the details. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning. Roads are wet this morning, so be cautious on the ramps and the bridges. The Beltline is getting busy, but moving along fine at this time. Other than the weather, nothing to really slow you down in either direction too much there. Checking out other roads in Dane County, just the usual slowdowns at Stoughton and Park approaching the Beltline. Volume is not a problem yet on East Washington and downtown. And other routes heading into Madison, they're moving along with no crashes or delays. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Stacy Kay.
Stacy Kay and Hattie, thank you both very much. Right now, UW Health is reporting 100 pediatric flu cases and 175 adult flu cases so far this flu season.
That's serious. Compare that to this same time last season with only 11 cases for kids and 43 for adults. Here to help keep your family healthy this flu season is our Keely Arthur. Hi, Keely.
Hi, Leah and Josh. Yes, these reminders may seem like no-brainers, but it's important for everyone to have a little refresher, especially since we saw a pediatric flu death over in southeastern Wisconsin just a week ago. So how can you protect you and your family? Well, you're going to want to wipe down commonly used objects and surfaces. So things like TV remotes, computer keyboards, of course your cell phone, and headphones if they are used by multiple people in your family. You're also going to want to wipe down commonly used areas like the kitchen with a disinfectant and wiping down things like fridge handles, microwaves, sink. Mark and I are cooking breakfast. We're both healthy right now, so we're allowed to do that. And another way to know if you have the flu, experts say having a high fever is a really good indicator.
The flu is often accompanied with a higher fever than a regular cold might. So if you have a higher fever, and your symptoms seem to last a little bit longer. You have the chills, achiness, some of those are the signs.
And another really easy way to prevent the flu, you need to wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap and water. Experts say that is the happy birthday song 2 times. And what about these? We see people wear them. We see people who are sick not wearing them. Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to explain why experts say it's important if you have the flu to put one of these on. And before I let you go, Josh and Lee, I should let you know, or I should let our audience know, Mark is the photojournalist, but the man behind the camera. We enjoy working out of my apartment, so that way we can have some breakfast and work at the same time. I'll send it back to you, too.
We're expecting some of that breakfast.
I was going to say, where's my breakfast?
Keely Arthur, thank you very much.
Come on over.
We're on our way.
Why not? Yeah.
Now, if you do get sick, chicken noodle soup should be your go-to for the flu. While it won't actually cure the flu, it can help relieve some of those symptoms. Doctors from Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York say soup can actually help open up congested sinuses and keep you hydrated.
Assembly Republicans are attempting to override Governor Evers' veto on a bill that would make it easier to become a nursing aide here in Wisconsin. Currently, state law requires aides to go through at least 120 hours of training programs. That's almost double the federal minimum of 75 hours. The vetoed bill would have made the federal minimum state law. Governor Evers says he objects to less training for people who take care of Wisconsin's most vulnerable citizens. There hasn't been a successful override of a governor's veto here in Wisconsin, by the way, since 1985.
6:17 right now. 2 bills at the state capitol are looking to limit your risk of radon exposure. One would require all new buildings in the state to be built with radon-resistant construction techniques. The other would require home sellers to provide the buyer with information on radon. Both pieces of the legislation are similar to some in other states, but they were brought to Wisconsin with the help of a UW researcher who sees the effect this cancer-causing gas can have.
It's very difficult to treat cancer, especially advanced lung cancer. And if we have ways to prevent cancer, that in a lot of cases may be the best way to go.
Now, radon is colorless, odorless, and comes from uranium in soil. It's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the U.S., and it's especially common in the Midwest. Testing isn't required in Wisconsin, but it's recommended by experts.
New research is shedding some light on whether a ban on vaping would even work. There's a survey out this morning of people between the ages of 18 and 35 who vape, and about half of them say they would find a way to get their hands on a vaping device, even if they were banned. 77% said they think vaping is healthier than cigarettes. 60% say it's safer than drinking. Of the users, 41% vape nicotine, 30% use cannabis. 6:18 on your Tuesday. Still ahead after the break, we are going to show you new video of a volcanic eruption in the Philippines that sent ash 9 miles into the sky.
The crazy video you have to see to believe coming up next. But first, Hattie's talking about some light freezing and freezing drizzle and light snow this morning. She's in next with the bus stop forecast on News 3 Now this morning.
Welcome back. 6:22 on your Tuesday. You're taking a look outside at not a whole lot
Nothing?
of anything. Yeah.
Josh just said nog.
Nog.
That's where we're at
Nothing
today.
and fog.
Yeah.
Blending those words together.
There's the view from the Edgewater Skycam behind us. You can see it's kind of tough to see the top of the Capitol Dome. Fog isn't terribly bad here in Madison, but it is a little thicker in some spots around the area. Visibility down to a mile in Juneau, half-mile visibility in Mineral Point and Platteville, as well as Monroe. So south and west of Madison is where we're seeing the most fog this morning. Take a look at our temperatures. They're critical anytime you have fog in the winter. It could be freezing fog. Temps are just a few degrees above the freezing point for most of southern Wisconsin, so that is good news. At the bus stop this morning, temperatures will stay mild, both going to and from school. We're looking at highs in the mid-30s. There is the potential for a little bit of clearing later on today. Get that snow gear ready again then for tomorrow. Some light snow is in the forecast for southern Wisconsin.
All right, thank you very much, Hattie. We are following some breaking details about a plane crash in Iran this morning. That country says several people are under arrest in that case. It's unclear how many people have been detained. Iran originally denied responsibility, but ultimately admitted to launching missiles at the Ukrainian aircraft. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is commenting on the conflict, citing U.S. tensions with Iran as the reason his country lost 57 of its citizens in that plane crash.
Nearly 24 Saudi nationals are being expelled from the U.S. after last month's deadly shooting at a naval base in Florida. Attorney General William Barr says the Justice Department determined the attack was carried out by one person as an act of terrorism.
Early reports indicated that the shooter arrived at the site accompanied by other Saudi cadets who took video during the attack. These reports turned out not to be accurate. The shooter arrived by himself.
A gunman fatally shot 3 cadets on the grounds of Naval Air Station Pensacola back in December. Responding sheriff's deputies shot and killed the gunman, later identified as a member of the Saudi Arabian Air Force who was in the U.S. for training.
For the first time in 7 years, the U.S. is finding itself in a $1 trillion hole. The federal government's budget deficit was released by the Treasury Department this week. According to the data, the government spent $1 trillion more than it took in during 2019. That hasn't happened since 2012.
Meanwhile, the United States is dropping its designation of China as a currency manipulator. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says that China is making commitments to refrain from competitive devaluation while promoting transparency and accountability. China was labeled a currency manipulator back in August when trade tensions ran high between the two countries. The decision drew strong criticism from both here in the U.S. and abroad, with many calling the decision groundless and irresponsible.
Smoke and ash continue to flow from the tall volcano in the Philippines this morning, and there are new warnings that the eruption could get worse. You're taking a look at satellite images from the volcano, blasting debris 9 miles into the atmosphere. The Filipino Volcano Monitoring Agency has upgraded the situation to a level 4, indicating another eruption is possible. Level 5, by the way, is the highest. That means an eruption is imminent. 6:25 now. Still ahead, we have the top 3 things you need to know on your Tuesday as you head out the door.
The number of flu cases this year are up. Coming up, we're sharing a few ways to make sure your home stays flu-free. You're watching News 3 Now this morning. We thank you for that, and we'll be right back.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for staying with us on this Tuesday, January 14th. I'm Leah Lynchide.
And I'm Josh Breiter. Let's get right to your top 3 headlines this morning. Democratic candidates will be trying to set themselves apart from their competition at tonight's debate in Iowa. 6 candidates have qualified for the debate, which is the last before the Iowa caucuses kick off primary season in just a few weeks. The latest poll of Iowa voters from CNN and the Des Moines Register shows Bernie Sanders as most Iowans' first choice for president. Tonight's debate starts at 7 on CNN.
At the same time as that debate, President Trump will be hosting a rally at UW-Milwaukee's Panther Arena. It's his first visit to the Badger State in 2020, as Wisconsin is expected to be one of the states that could decide this year's election. It also comes about 6 months before that city hosts the Democratic National Convention. Both the rally and the debate start at 7.
A reminder from the city of Madison this morning, you have until noon today before you will be ticketed for not clearing snow and ice from your sidewalks. Last year, the city gave out nearly 800 tickets to people who did not follow the rules. That's a $124 ticket for the first citation, $187 for the second, and the prices only go up from there.
Pretty pricey, and there's more ice in the forecast with that freezing drizzle there, Hattie.
That's right, but at least it's not terribly cold. So if you have to clean off the sidewalk this morning, the temperatures are right about the freezing point. Could be worse. A live look from the WISC-TV sky camera here in Madison. We do have some low clouds and fog in the area. Visibility isn't terrible at the airport, but you can see south and west of Madison, visibility has dropped to a half a mile in Monroe, Platteville, and Mineral Point. So be aware of the fog situation this morning. Maybe a little bit of drizzle left, although it has come to an end for us here in Madison. Temperatures are at least at or above freezing in most spots this morning. Watertown is 32. In the Dells, it's 31, but most other spots are above freezing early today. Here's a look at your forecast as you head out the door. Lots of cloud cover this morning. There may be a little bit of clearing late today with high temperatures in the middle 30s. Let's take a look at those traffic maps this morning. Again, north of Madison, where it's still below freezing, there may be some slippery spots on roads, but right now it looks like you're going at posted speeds as you head into Madison. Here's your car wash forecast. We've been talking about this active weather pattern. If you wash it today, be forewarned. There is some snow in the forecast tomorrow. Thursday will be dry, but again, we have snow in the forecast coming on Friday.
All right, we've been warned. Thank you, Hattie. City of Madison plows are back out this morning to continue working to clear the streets. Their work on the main roads is done, but they're still clearing some snow from residential areas. They're asking you to try and find off-street parking spots so they can clear the roads a little more effectively.
6:32 right now. The first pediatric flu death in our state just days ago is a reminder to be vigilant in protecting ourselves and our families.
UW Health reports 100 pediatric flu cases so far this season and 175 for adults. Keely Arthur is live this morning with some easy ways to stay flu-free. Keely?
Good morning, Leah and Josh. Yeah, those numbers that you mentioned are actually way higher than the flu cases that we saw last year. So you're going to want to be extra vigilant and protect your family. An easy way to do that is to wipe down commonly used objects and surfaces, things like television remotes, computer keyboards, of course your phone, headphones if they're used by multiple family members. And then be sure to wipe down commonly used spaces like bathrooms and kitchens with a disinfectant wipe. Make sure you're going to hit those handles on your microwave, fridge, sink. And here is another thing that you might want to consider. If you do have the flu, maybe get a mask. This is what Madison College expert Ernice Watson says she says when people see these on her.
Thank you. I feel extremely happy when I see someone wearing a mask, because typically it's to protect me from whatever, you know, their disease process may be going on with them. So, and protecting me from the flu, and protecting the rest of us from getting it. So sometimes I know it used to be a little bit off-putting to folks, but I think it's becoming more common.
And if you do have a family member who is sick, You can put them in the bedroom and keep them isolated. Keep the door closed so that way they can recover and everyone else in your family can stay flu-free. Another thing to consider, getting the vaccine. You're supposed to get it in the fall, but experts say it's not too late. The flu season is going to last through March, so you certainly have time to get the flu, time to get the vaccine. You get to decide which one you want to take. Josh and Leah.
We both have our vaccines live on air. Good memories. Keely Arthur, thank you very much.
6:34 right now. More local news now. Voting districts in the fastest growing city in the area could soon be changing. Sun Prairie has been separated into 4 districts since the 50s, but with how quickly the population is growing, an alderman thinks restructuring is needed. A new map would split the 4 districts, each with 2 representatives, into 8 single alder districts. City Council President Bill Connors says this would make it easier for those elected officials to reach constituents.
Can't do it in between. It's like once every 10 years, this is your opportunity. So I wanted to make sure we paused and reflected on that and made an intelligent decision about whether now is the time or if we wait for 10 more years or 20 more years.
A task force has been proposed to decide if change is needed, and if so, to determine exactly how many districts Sun Prairie will have.
Happening today, you have a chance to meet the 3 finalists to lead the Madison School District as its next superintendent. Today, you can meet Dr. Marguerite Vanden Weigard at East High and ask her any questions you may have. Then tomorrow, Dr. Matthew Gutierrez will take the mic. On Thursday, Dr. George Eric Thomas will be available to answer questions. He's meeting at La Follette High School. Tonight's event starts at 6.
6:35 right now. Coming up in the morning sprint, police in DeForest are asking for your help this morning in the search for a missing teen.
And if you're thinking about heading to San Francisco this weekend to see the Packers in the NFC Championship, maybe think twice after seeing how much it'll set you back. We'll tell you when News 3 Now This Morning returns. Okay, so if you are starting to get the winter blues as the weather gets colder and snowier, just take a peek at this photo Matt sent in. It's beautiful.
It's very, very fresh out there. That's what I like the snow during the winter time, because it's better seeing all that white than all the brown.
White and fluffy, and I love when it lines the trees like this particular photo.
Very pretty. Thank you so much for sharing, Matt. If you've got a morning picture, please send it to us over on our Facebook page.
6:39 now. Now that the Packers will be facing off against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game, a lot of fans are deciding whether to join them.
So if you're one of the 6% of people who answered our poll on Facebook saying you're considering it, a local travel expert recommends starting by actually looking at flights out of Madison. He says prices haven't gone up too much yet, with most round-trip options costing between $500 and $600. To find the best deals, you can play with the dates you leave and return and whether or not you fly to San Francisco or San Jose, which is actually closer to Levi's Stadium.
Closer we get to this weekend, flights will start to sell out, and as that happens, as more people book, prices go up. So if you want to go, make your decision and book your flights.
Of course, the closer you stay to the stadium, the more expensive hotels will be. A round trip with hotel and flights will cost a couple about $1,800 if you book as soon as possible.
A ticket to the game itself will cost you a pretty penny as well. According to SeatGeek, this is the most in-demand NFC Championship game the agency has ever tracked. The average resale price of a ticket, right around $730. That's 150% more than the average resale price for regular Packers game tickets. A standing room only ticket will cost you at least $469.
That's crazy.
Pony up.
Yeah, right. New this morning, the #1 ranked LSU football team is waking up as champions. They ended Clemson's 29-game winning streak with a 42-25 victory in the title game. It didn't always look like they'd pull it off, though. LSU came back from a first-half deficit to take down #3 Clemson. It was a storybook ending for Heisman Trophy winner Joe Burrow, who finished the game with 463 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. It's LSU's first national championship since 2007. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were at the game, introduced before kickoff and watched from a box.
Congrats to them. All right, we've been asking our Facebook followers to sound off on our daily morning poll. And this morning, we're talking about flu remedies with a spike in cases across Wisconsin. So, what's your home remedy? Do you like soup or sleep?
So right now, 91% of you say sleep is what you're looking for most, while the other 9% say soup. And there are a lot of actual other comments throughout the bottom, which have been really interesting this morning. Just go to our Facebook page so your voice is heard and let us know where you stand.
Yeah, somebody said blackberry brandy.
Yeah, that was
I like
one of
that.
them.
Okay.
Somebody else said, why not both? And I'm with that person because I think for me it depends on how sick I am and if I'm hungry, if I'm tired, which I'm always hungry and tired.
This is all we talk about on the morning show. But the soup will keep you hydrated. The sleep will actually help you recuperate.
That's true. All right, sound off on Facebook.
6:42 now. We're keeping it cool in the First Alert Weather Center this week. We're in the 30s today and tomorrow, but we could see highs in the teens later this week. Yeah, bundle up, folks. Hattie's bringing us the latest in her forecast coming up.
But first, it is January 14th, and we want to say happy birthday to Weston and all the other kids turning 3 today. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Here's the view from the Edgewater Skycam. A little difficulty seeing the Capitol, but not much. Contrast that with the view from our Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville, and we really can't see anything. Fog really settling into southwestern Wisconsin, where visibilities are about a half a mile from Platteville over to Monroe this morning. Some other spots have some fog as well. It's 3/4 mile visibility in Juneau, but again, 4-mile visibility here in Madison. Take a look at Doppler track this morning. Overnight, we did have some very light snow showers quickly working their way through the area. They have already moved out of the region. A little bit of drizzle lagged behind those snow showers, but most of that drizzle is coming to an end pretty quickly as well. Things are pretty quiet out to the west, so our forecast is dry for the remainder of today. We'll use our future track forecast model, though, starting at 10:30 p.m. tonight. Watch some snow start to develop across Minnesota and even parts of Iowa. As we approach tomorrow morning, that precipitation begins to move into southern Wisconsin. Now, unfortunately, once again, we're right on that rain-snow line. So for the far southern part of the state, there is the potential for some light freezing rain or drizzle tomorrow. Areas north of Madison would likely see just snow. The snow will clear out of the area pretty quickly and give us a break on Thursday before that next system arrives on Friday. And we are watching this one carefully as well. Again, close to the rain-snow line, so there could be some mixy precipitation working its way into southern Wisconsin late Friday into Saturday. That would cut down on snow totals, but right now it looks like a pretty decent chance for some accumulating snow again on Friday into Saturday. Too early to put amounts on that particular system, but I can tell you that amounts will be pretty light tomorrow. The snow will fall during the day. Best chances for a couple of inches of accumulation will be across central and northern Wisconsin. Now we start actually above freezing here in Madison. It's 33 degrees. South winds all night have been causing temperatures to actually rise already this morning. And we are starting to gain a few minutes of daylight at the front part of the day. Sunrise time getting a little bit earlier now. Take a look at our temperatures in the Dells. You're below freezing, 31 degrees, 34 in Mineral Point, 33 in Platteville. Keep in mind, with fog in the area and temperatures close to freezing, there could be some slippery spots on the roads. South winds, though, will cause our temperatures to slowly warm today. Your future track forecast model, again, cloudy this morning. Temperatures slowly warming into the mid-30s by lunchtime. Future track is really clearing out those clouds this afternoon. I don't think we're going to see that much clearing, but we could see a little bit of sunshine. Clouds are expected to move back in, though, for tomorrow with that light snow on the way, as well as a little bit of freezing drizzle or freezing rain, especially south of Madison. Dry but colder on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday could turn to be snowy as well across southern Wisconsin. Here's our pet walk forecast or pet ride. This is Miley and Lodi.
Mood.
That is more of a cow than a dog. Big fan, though. Big fan.
Probably takes up the whole front seat.
Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint up next. 6:51, time for the morning sprint as we give you all the news you need to know before you go.
We begin with breaking news overnight into the alert center. The DeForest Police Department is asking for help finding a missing 13-year-old. Bayana Covington was last seen leaving DeForest Middle School with a friend yesterday afternoon. She's known to be associated with a man named Anthony or Antonio who's around 20 years old. If you know anything about where Bayana might be, you're asked to call DeForest Police.
President Trump will be making his way to Milwaukee for a rally later today. The president's rally will be at UW-Milwaukee's Panther Arena. It's his first visit to the Badger State in 2020, as Wisconsin is expected to be one of the states that could decide this year's election. It also comes about 6 months before the city hosts the Democratic National Convention this summer. That rally starts at 7 p.m.
State lawmakers are introducing a bill that would require presidential campaigns to pay their debts from rallies like tonight's before they're given a permit to host another one. President Trump still owes $47,000 to the city of Eau Claire and $9,000 to the city of Green Bay from 2016 rallies. Hillary Clinton's campaign also still owes money to the city of Milwaukee.
The state Supreme Court says they won't be taking up the case involving more than 200,000 voters being purged from the rolls here in Wisconsin, leaving the decision to the Court of Appeals. This comes as Ozaukee County judge ruled the Elections Commission in contempt for not immediately removing those voters. 3 of the 6 members of that commission will be fined $250 every time they don't comply with the order.
Democratic candidates will be trying to set themselves apart from their competition at tonight's final debate in Iowa. 6 candidates have qualified for the debate, which is the last before the caucuses kick off primary season in just a few weeks. Tonight's debate starts at 7 on CNN.
Iran's Judiciary Committee says people are now in custody for the shooting down of a Ukrainian plane. A judiciary spokesman says that they've completed, quote, extensive investigations. It's unclear how many people have been detained. Iran originally denied responsibility, but ultimately admitted to launching missiles at the aircraft.
Nearly 24 Saudi nationals have to leave the U.S. after last month's deadly shooting at a Navy base in Florida. Attorney General William Barr says the Justice Department determined the attack was carried out by one person as an act of terrorism. Deputies shot and killed that gunman, who was a member of the Saudi Arabian Air Force in the U.S. for training. 3 cadets were killed in that attack.
It'll be a little tough to see this morning, not because it's still dark, because it is foggy, especially south and west of Madison, where visibility is less than a mile this morning. Temperatures are quite mild, though, starting already in the 30s. We'll climb a couple of degrees to a high of 36. Plenty of clouds lingering through most of the day today.
Hattie, thank you. City of Madison plows are back out this morning working to clear the streets of snow. Their work on the main roads is done, but they're still working to clear some of the residential areas. You have until noon before you get a citation for not clearing snow and ice from your sidewalks. The first citation is a $124 ticket.
We are talking easy ways to prevent you and your family from getting the flu this season. UW Health is reporting 100 pediatric cases and 175 cases in adults. So here are some ways to avoid becoming a part of that number. Wash your hands 20 seconds with soap and water. Be sure to wipe down commonly used objects like TV remotes, computer keyboards with a disinfectant, and wipe down commonly used spaces like kitchens and bathrooms. Another big tool in prevention, the vaccine. Flu season is expected to last through March, and it is not too late to get vaccinated. Leah?
Thank you, Keely. For the first time in 7 years, the U.S. is finding itself in a $1 trillion hole. The federal government's budget deficit was released by the Treasury Department this week. According to the data, the government spent $1 trillion more than it took in during 2019. That hasn't happened since 2012.
You can't do it in between. It's like once every 10 years.
That's Sun Prairie's City Council President Bill Connors. He says a change in their city's voting districts could help elected officials reach constituents. Sun Prairie has been separated into 4 districts since the 50s, but with how quickly the population is growing, an alderman thinks restructuring is needed. A new map would split the 4 districts into 8 single alder districts.
Assembly Republicans are trying to override Governor Evers' veto on a bill that would make it easier to become a nursing aide here in Wisconsin. Currently, state law requires aides to go through at least 120 hours of training. This vetoed bill would have made the 75-hour federal minimum state law. Governor Evers vetoed that measure, saying he objects to reduced training for people who take care of Wisconsin's most vulnerable citizens.
Happening today, the city of Sun Prairie is set to discuss a redevelopment plan for the site of the downtown explosion. The State Journal reports on the proposal for redevelopment with residential units, a hotel, and even a festival street. If the commission moves forward with the plan, City Council could adopt it by next week.
All right, 6:56. Let's turn it over to Stacey K with a look at your first alert traffic. Hey, Stacey.
Hi, the westbound Beltline is picking up now, especially from Stoughton to West Broadway. Roads are wet, so take it easy on the ramps. Inbound John Nolan getting busy at the Rimrock and North Shore Drive intersections as you head downtown. Volume starting to increase on East Washington. And other routes heading into Madison, they're moving along with no crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacey K.
Thank you, Stacy. Here's a live look from our Edgewater Skycam this morning, showing you some low clouds here in the Madison area. Some fog elsewhere across southern Wisconsin to contend with early this morning. Mostly cloudy skies through the morning into the afternoon. A little bit of clearing is possible late today with highs at 36. Keep in mind, we still have a couple of chances for some snow here in southern Wisconsin yet this week.
All right. Thank you, Hattie.
And thank you all for joining us. Go make it a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.